All right, good morning, everyone, and we'll give it another minute uh, so people join our webinar. And while people are joining, I would like to remind our members about our WiscNet Connections conference that will happen at Stevens Point, April 29th and 30th. So we have a fantastic lineup of speakers ready for you, great food, and a lot of networking opportunities. And the most important thing, you get to talk to us in real life. We are real people, I promise you. So hopefully we'll see you there. Join, we'll be happy to see you. Teach and learn. Today we'll be talking about eduroam, and we have an all-star WiscNet lineup. John Pederson, our Director of Innovation and Strategy, will be talking about this, and Rich Turiel, our CTO. And before I pass the mic to them, couple housekeeping notes. Any questions, leave them in chat. And yes, we are recording this webinar, and a copy or a link will be sent to each person who registered for it. And with that, gentlemen, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Ivor. John Pederson, Director of Innovation and Strategy here at WiscNet. That's not the important part right now. Important part is I get to give a very high-level overview of eduroam. When it gets into radius servers and identity management, I am the problem, not the solution. So I will let Rich talk about those details. All that said, what we've experienced and what they say is that it's not all that complicated. We'll get into some of the implementation details later on. Just a little high-level overview of eduroam and why eduroam. This is a program started about a little over 2 decades ago in the world of higher education. So universities around the globe, technical colleges, other institutes of higher ed started doing this eduroam thing because they have faculty that move between campuses, between universities, between institutions, as well as students that move between universities in doing their research. And they were looking for ways in which researchers and faculty members and students could get seamless access across different institutions in order to do their research. So we'll talk about that a little bit and how it works. I'll let that a little bit later on here. But what you're not dealing with guest networks anymore. You're not dealing with temporary credentials or passing around passwords when other people come for meetings in your area. We'll give you some of those use case scenarios in the more technical detail. Let me just finish a little bit by WiscNet's role in here. One of the things I mentioned that eduroam was a higher education project, or is a higher education project. It was about 5 years ago that they kind of reached that area of higher education where they were probably going to get eduroam out to just about everywhere they could. There's still room. There's still some that aren't hooked up, but they were really looking to figure out ways to expand it. The next natural spot is K-12 education. Internet 2, who is the United States sponsor support for eduroam, we might get into that a little bit. Internet 2 wasn't interested in, well, they couldn't scale eduroam deployments through the K-12s. That's where they asked people like WiscNet at the state level that work in this kind of area to become support organizations for the K-12s, for the libraries, and for other museums and things like that. We'll get into some of those use cases as well. So WiscNet last fall worked with Madison School District and Waukesha School District in order to pilot this. The pilots went very successfully. And so we've started now just rolling it out to other interested school districts. And we'll talk a little bit about the rollout plan here too.
eduroam stands.
Oops, sorry about that. Wrong way.
Other than that, I'm going to flip it over to Rich to take it from here, and we'll just have a good discussion about what this is and all the good parts.
All right, thanks, John. To add on to what Ivor said at the beginning about WiscNet Connections, I'll also let everybody know that there will be an eduroam presentation during WiscNet Connections, and this one will be geared to hearing from the members themselves who are using it. We do have a handful of the K-12s that are on board, but we also have our higher eds who have been using it for quite some time, and we'll talk more about that as we go. But there will be an eduroam presentation during Connections that will let you hear from the folks who are using it. So, as John said, I'm Rich Turiel. I am the Chief Technology Officer here at WiscNet. I've been working on the eduroam project for quite some time since we became involved. I'm very, very excited about this, and I would love to talk more about it, and that's what we're going to do right now. What is eduroam, right? Eduroam stands for Education Roaming. It's a secure global Wi-Fi service built specifically for education. If your institution is participating, your students and staff can connect anywhere that eduroam is available automatically. It's been around since 2003, and it now spans over 100 countries. Most importantly, it's much more secure than typical public Wi-Fi. I'm going to play this little video here about eduroam. It's a little quick video.
eduroam stands for Education Roaming. It provides secure and easy-to-use Wi-Fi access in thousands of locations in more than 100 countries. Once you've connected for the first time, you never need to enter your details again. eduroam will automatically connect you whenever you're in range of an eduroam hotspot. The best thing is, the hotspot you're using never sees your details. So, wherever you're roaming, you can love to eduroam. eduroam. Simple, easy, and secure.
So let's talk about what WiscNet's role is in this. WiscNet is leading the rollout of eduroam across Wisconsin. As John mentioned, we were selected by Internet2 to expand this as a statewide resource. WiscNet is the only provider of eduroam in Wisconsin. So for the K-12s and library systems and public museums who can come aboard as full eduroam users, WiscNet is the only place that you can get that. Our goal is to make this ubiquitous across schools, libraries, and community services throughout the state. Many other states, a handful of other states are doing this. We'll talk about that more later, but our goal is to do exactly what some of the other states have accomplished in their 2 or 3 years of running this program. So let's talk about 3 of the important aspects of eduroam. Secure, it's simple, and it provides belonging. Let's talk about the secure portion of it, right? One of the biggest advantages of eduroam is the security. It uses modern encryption and authentication standards. It's not a guest Wi-Fi. The credentials are never shared with the local network. This is kind of important, right? The home institution is always authenticating the users. It happens securely back at your home institution, like I said. It's simple, right? Simplified access. Once the device is set up, users don't need to log in again. There's no repeated passwords, no guest portals. It just works whether you're at your home institution or traveling. A lot of WiscNet folks here and other users of eduroam have plenty of stories of sitting in a conference and sitting in a location, all of a sudden looking down at your phone and you're connected to Wi-Fi and you don't even know how that happened. And then you realize they're broadcasting eduroam there. It's a pretty awesome thing. And another thing that it does for your institution is it reduces that friction between supporting users who will constantly come up and ask for guest network access and passwords and things like that. So it gets rid of that right away. The digital belonging piece, this is something that I think is really, really important, right? This is one of the more human benefits. This is students don't feel like outsiders when they visit another campus. I heard somebody tell this story that to me has been one of my favorite stories of eduroam that I heard. Passwords are not inclusive, right? Passwords are something that makes somebody say, well, do you belong here? Are you sure you belong here? Do you know how to get in? eduroam is different. eduroam is an automatic connection. eduroam makes you feel like you belong somewhere right away. And that's something I think that is really important. Students don't feel like outsiders when they come to another school. They connect automatically. They don't have to ask for access. It removes barriers and creates a sense of belonging across all the institutions that are participating in eduroam. Let's talk about some of the benefits to WiscNet members. We're going to summarize some of these key benefits. We talked about it's secure, and that's so important to so many folks here. Security is such a big thing, and knowing that your users are making secure connections at locations instead of hopping onto guest networks is really, really important. It's automatic. Users are just going to connect wherever eduroam is available. And its value increases as more locations participate. And this is the really important piece for the WiscNet membership, right? School districts, library systems, and public museums, public institutions are allowed to be full eduroam users. However, all WiscNet community can be hotspot members, right? So if you're a city or you are a Boys and Girls Club, a YMCA, a Starbucks, anywhere, you can broadcast eduroam as a hotspot. And obviously, as more locations participate, that's what makes it more valuable to the whole entire state and the WiscNet community. We had other research and education networks that have gotten airports involved. They've gotten public transportation involved. So you could see the value of this as it spreads throughout the entire state. And that's something that we definitely want to do. And then here's the big one. eduroam is included in WiscNet membership for the next 3 years. So that is super important. WiscNet is paying for this for 3 years for all the membership. After this 3-year period is over, we know with the full participation of our membership, it's going to be a very nominal fee and maybe something that's rolled into network access or something like that. But we do believe it will be a nominal fee beyond that 3-year period. Let's talk about some of the primary values of eduroam. There's a lot of benefits that you're going to see here, but I'm going to highlight a few of them. Seamless roaming. Users move between locations effortlessly. That's a tough word, isn't it? Reduced IT workload, right? Less time managing guest network access. Users are just connected automatically. It's improved security. Everything is encrypted and authenticated. It supports underserved populations like students on buses or in public spaces. And overall, it enhances your institution's value to visitors and partners. And that's one of the keys, to get so many institutions involved. That's what's going to make this take off and make this important throughout the state of Wisconsin. Let's talk about some of the setup benefits. Getting started is really, actually, I think I moved through another slide. Didn't mean to do that. This is some of the more of some of the stuff that we were talking about with the value. It's now our turn, Wisconsin's turn to adopt eduroam, right? eduroam is connecting users throughout the entire world, and we've even had some of our employees here at WiscNet that have been overseas, and they come across eduroam and connect to eduroam easily. It was created by the EU for the education community. Over 106 nations are participating in eduroam. And like John mentioned, beforehand. Internet 2 is on the top level here on the United States side, and WiscNet is participating in this program via Internet 2. These are the other states that have been pushing eduroam throughout their states. UEN, the Utah Education Networks, was the first one to come aboard in 2020. And get this, they now have 100% adoption for all their K-12s using eduroam. And that is amazing. Nebraska is another one that is on this list. They came aboard in 2021. I believe Nebraska is in like the 80% adoption rate for K-12. So you can see as this adopts throughout the states, and all the K-12s are using it, and all the universities and colleges are using it, that means students who are dual enrolled in classes, students and staff who may go in between school districts, they are able to connect anywhere they go without having to have multiple different logins, without having to use guest networks. Students who travel for sporting events, who go to another school, automatically connected the second they get onto that campus that is using eduroam. The setup of the whole entire thing is actually very easy. I hate to use the set it and forget it saying, but that is kind of exactly how it works, right? It is a setup, set it and forget it. Once you get everything up and running with your radius servers and your APs, it is something that just automatically works going forward. Your users are automatically added as you're adding them to your system, whether it's authentication via Google authentication or Microsoft authentication. Users get added to eduroam automatically. Once you get it set up and running, which is not too difficult of a setup, we will help you walk you through all that stuff. But once you get it up and running, there's not really a lot of maintaining that needs to go with that. So as you can see, the momentum has been building steadily over the past several years here. And now we're at this tipping point where it's Wisconsin's turn to adopt eduroam at scale. As you can see here, US adoption is really already strong. There are over 1,200 direct subscribers, thousands of different service locations, and growing participation from K-12 libraries and public spaces. Wisconsin is now joining that movement. You're going to see that Wisconsin number increase more and more as we go. And that obviously is going to be the key. So anywhere you see those numbers, if you're participating in the eduroam program, you go to any one of those locations, your users and yourself are going to be able to connect to any one of those hotspots automatically. There's an eduroam locator map where you can actually zoom in and see all the locations that are broadcasting eduroam. So now, as I said, it's Wisconsin's turn to adopt eduroam. Wisconsin is the 12th state that is participating in this. This positions us well to build a strong statewide network and to connect with the broader national and global system. This is, like I said, I believe that one of the most important pieces to all of this is that adoption of the WiscNet community and the WiscNet membership. Once we start getting the K-12s on board, the higher eds are mostly on board. We start working with the library systems. We start turning to public spaces like museums, get them on board. Then we start hitting some of the hotspot members, your local YMCA, your Boys and Girls Clubs, anywhere where students may gather. That would be a perfect place to be a hotspot member. We're going to start talking to a lot of the locations that host conferences, education-based conferences, because that means when your superintendents or your tech directors, they all attend these conferences, eduroam is going to be broadcast there and they will connect automatically. So that widespread adoption across the state is what we're looking for. It's what other states have been successful at, and I know WiscNet and Wisconsin will be successful at that as well. Our vision is simple. We want to spread this throughout the entire state. for ubiquitous, secure, wireless access across all educational sites in Wisconsin, seamless connectivity to eduroam networks worldwide. This is about building an infrastructure for education, not just Wi-Fi. It is a simple Wi-Fi service. All it is an SSID, but it's much more than that. It is something that can connect the entire state and the world. There are two participating options for eduroam. You can become, I'm going to start with the one on the right, as this one is what our K-12s, our library systems, and our public museums and public institutions will be able to connect as an identity provider, an IDP. This means you can authenticate your own eduroam users and connect eduroam users that are visiting your location, and your users can go to any location and connect. So that is what we want all the K-12s and the library systems to become, IDPs. The other one is just a service provider. This allows you to be a hotspot, to just broadcast the eduroam SSID and have anybody who's participating in eduroam connect. So any WiscNet member can be a service provider, right? You don't need to be a K-12 or higher ed or a library system to be a hotspot member. Any place can broadcast the eduroam SSID to allow users to connect to the eduroam system. Let's talk about where we're at, and some of this may need a little updating. We have, as John mentioned at the top, we were selected as an eduroam support organization in the spring of 2025. We have our eduroam webpage on the website. At the very beginning, we onboarded two big Wisconsin school districts, Madison Metropolitan School District and the School District of Waukesha. Both of those members are broadcasting eduroam in every single one of their buildings. So eduroam is available in any Wi-Fi area that's being managed by Madison School District and the Waukesha School District. Green Bay Area School District has just recently come on board. I don't know if they're at full adoption in all their buildings, but I know it's spreading very quickly. We've worked with them, and they are getting on board over 5,000 access points in Green Bay Area School District. Stevens Point, we are...
Rich, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but we actually have an issue with the Zoom link. So Ivor is going to jump off and try to get the link to the right folks, and so I might have to start re-recording. So apologies if it beeps again that we're recording, but Ivor is going to jump off now. So keep going here, and I might
going from where I'm at. Okay,
so sorry about that.
Yeah, no, that's okay. We'll have time for questions if anyone wants to kind of backtrack here for those who have joined late due to issues that we've had. Anyway, Stevens Point Area School District is coming on board. They're getting a whole new AP system, so they're kind of holding off just a little bit. Just recently, I met with about 15 to 20 different school districts who expressed interest in coming on board. We're going to start working with them as soon as possible. We met some great folks at Brainstorm during the vendor expo where we had our booth. Have another list of WiscNet members who want to come on board for eduroam. So I believe that this is going to spread fast. Once we start onboarding school districts, we're going to start getting up into the double-digit numbers really quickly. Then a lot of our focus is going to be adding the other school districts and also hitting the library systems, because I think that's going to be another tipping point in getting this moving forward in a very quick and great way. I think if we start seeing the library systems join on eduroam and students start showing up at these libraries and they start connecting to eduroam, and the library systems can actually see who is connecting and who's coming into their libraries. I think that's going to be another important part to getting this spreading throughout the whole entire state. I'm going to talk about some of the WiscNet members who are currently using eduroam. We're going to see right here some quotes from some of them. Steve Schloman, who is the CIO at the School District of Waukesha, as he mentioned, implementing eduroam was a fairly easy process, right? I know from working with them, I believe we started maybe in June, and they were kind of up and running in all of their buildings very, very quickly after that. By the beginning of the school year, they were all set. I know Madison School District, pretty much the same thing. So getting it set up is pretty easy, and it's made it easy for them to do some of the things inside the school district that they want. And I know that at Brainstorm, when I spoke with Steve mentioned that where they are going is to have eduroam as their main SSID. So all users will connect to eduroam and no longer have multiple SSIDs out there. I believe, obviously, you would still need a guest network for non-eduroam users, but that is where they are going, and that's really, really exciting. Mihai from Mid-State Technical College, Mihai here, they have been using eduroam for longer than WiscNet has been an ESO. As we mentioned at the beginning, higher eds came aboard eduroam first. He's highlighting some real world usage here, outdoor events, graduations, visiting students. People already know eduroam and they're starting to expect it out there. Mihai also told me a great story below here that is highlighted, that foreign exchange students who are coming to visit, the second they arrive, he told a story about them arriving late at night. They get off the buses, get into the dorms that they're going to be staying in for the summer, and immediately they're connected to eduroam and they're able to talk to their family members and let them know that they arrived safely. I thought that was a great story. Couple of quotes here from David Giovanni from Madison College. Again, another higher ed that's been using it for quite some time. They talk about the ease of use and how valuable it is to staff as they travel. And as well as security benefits.
I don't have any to hand out
as well. So I've kind of reached the end here. However, I know folks kind of missed some of the beginning. Maybe I'll kind of, without the slides, give a little bit of a chat here. So WiscNet is the ESO, the Education Support Organization for eduroam. That means we have been tasked to push eduroam out to the K-12 community, to the library systems, to public museums within Wisconsin as full eduroam institutions, which will mean your users can log into any eduroam SSID anywhere throughout the world, and users coming to your campus and that are also using eduroam will connect automatically to eduroam. So that is a full IDP member. Then any other member of WiscNet can also be a hotspot site, which would just mean that you're broadcasting the eduroam SSID. So let's just say it's a county building or a government building where users are visiting, they will connect to eduroam using that SSID. So those are the two different ways you can participate in eduroam. Like I mentioned earlier, other states have been doing this for quite some time. WiscNet is now hoping to copy exactly what has been successful in other states and the other research and education networks have been doing. And our idea is to just get this spreading throughout the whole entire state. Most of the higher eds are already on board. K-12s and library systems are next. And then as we start talking to some of the public institutions, we can start getting them to be hotspot members. Again, it would be great to see all of us showing up at conferences throughout the whole entire state and having eduroam SSID broadcast anytime we appear in any one of these conference centers. Having eduroam potentially at airports. That's another conversation that we will have somewhere down the line. At arenas, other areas where educators and students congregate, those would be great places to be hotspots. Like I said, YMCAs, Boys and Girls Clubs. Once we start getting those participants on board, I think it's going to be something that's going to be pretty amazing. So at this point, let me talk just real quick about the technical aspects of it. It's a pretty simple technical setup, right? You need a radius server. If you don't have a radius server, there is free radius, a radius server called Free Radius that we will help you get set up. You will, your local users will authenticate to your local radius server automatically. Users that are coming from outside your institution, those users' requests will proxy back to the eduroam servers. The eduroam servers will then find whatever institution they belong to and pass that authentication back to them. So if I'm at Green Bay Area School District and I connect to eduroam, none of my credentials or none of my authentication happens on the Green Bay area network. It gets passed back to eduroam, who passes it back to WiscNet. WiscNet looks at my credentials and authenticates me to eduroam. The setup, like I said, fairly easy. It'll work with any AAP system. The WiscNet team, the engineers and support team will get on a call with you and walk you through all of this and help you get it set up. My email address, which I will put in the chat here, is where you want to get started. You can book some time with me, and we can get started talking about eduroam. I see there's some questions in here. I'm just kind of going to look through it. Alex, you mentioned the free for 3 years. Great question. What our plan is right now, obviously, WiscNet is paying for the first 3 years of it. At some point, we're going to have to come up with a decision of a cost, again, with adoption from a large portion of the WiscNet network, the WiscNet membership. I don't see that this is going to be anything that will be more than $300 to $500 a year. Maybe something that's rolled into network access, maybe something that's rolled into something else. These are all ideas that we're bouncing around. We don't have any hard, firm numbers, but I think with the adoption of a large part of the WiscNet membership, it's going to be something that will be a fairly nominal fee on a per year basis. Like I mentioned in earlier when I was talking about the other states, Utah now has 100% adoption of all their K-12s using eduroam. Nebraska, I think they're in the 80% range. If we get that type of adoption here, and I don't see any reason why we wouldn't, then that cost is definitely going to be a nominal fee going forward after that 3-year period. Any questions that I can answer? I know that some of this, a lot of you missed part of the presentation. So I'm willing to just kind of hang in here for the next 20, 25 minutes and answer any direct questions.
Thank you, Rich. What is the expiration of our 3-year trial with this?
Right. So it would start from when WiscNet became ESO, when we started paying that 3-year fee to Internet 2. So that would be we started in the spring of 2025. So that would be the spring of 2028.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep. I mentioned also I've talked to a lot of members. We have like 5 that are on board right now. We have 2 more that we're going to be working with over starting tomorrow. Then I've got a list of about 20 other members. Once we get everything all documented after these next 2 members come on board, I think that's going to be when we could start pushing out a lot of members at a time to join eduroam.
Rich, hi. I also heard, in the call that we're going to be talking more about this at the connections, and that there will be members who are already using eduroam that will be sharing their experience with everybody. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, that is correct. We will have an eduroam presentation at Connections. Green Bay Area School District, Waukesha School District, Madison School District will all be participating, and you will get to hear directly from them how the rollout has been, how everything's going, what problems has this solved for them, and really good use case discussion from our members.
Great.
More questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Apologies. Thinking about our students who are using, Chromebooks in buildings and things, and using securely, which I'm just thinking that if we have a student who goes over to eduroam and on their Chromebook, let's say, and they're trying to do it to avoid, securely filters or the classroom view, aside of just saying like no matter where they log in during school hours they can be seen on classroom, is there I guess, how do we keep it from students moving from student network to eduroam network, and making sure that everything is still keeping our networks viewable for our devices, things like that?
Yeah, and I think that's a big discussion that each school district has to face, right? You control that SSID, right? All it is an SSID on your network, and I guess you kind of have to make that decision. Do you treat it exactly like a student SSID, and you have filtering on that SSID so students can't, if it's not device-based filtering, students can't avoid being filtered when they go through that network.
So in theory, we could use the eduroam network as our student network.
Correct.
Now, with that said, okay, so again, ignorance over here. How then would that play with the Radius server and authentication, things like that?
Right. So all the Radius server is doing is authenticating the user.
Against because I came in late, sorry.
It would be either Google Workspace or Microsoft Azure AD.
Okay. All right, cool. And so, I mean, in theory, we could just ditch all of our different networks and just run it off eduroam then.
That is what some networks are doing.
Is Madison, Waukesha, Green Bay, are they doing that?
None of them are doing that now, but that is at Brainstorm. I spoke with Steve at Waukesha, and he told me that's their goal. Their goal is to make eduroam be the one and only SSID. And I'm sure at our conference, or even just through email, Steve would be willing to share his thoughts on how they plan on doing that, and their reasons for doing that.
Well, I'm thinking too about like low authentication devices. So let's say, for example, shared carts. We're talking about iPads maybe in like kindergarten, first grade that still need internet access. So I'm just trying to think through how that would play if we went down that path. Not to say that we have to, but that's kind of where I'm thinking about this.
And there's also an app called Get Eduroam where you can push profiles So if you have some type of mobile device management for some of those devices, you can actually push the eduroam profile via the Get Eduroam app.
And that would be more like for a generic account.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. It is certificate based. So on that first login, users do need a certificate. So the pushing the profile gets you through that process of, students not having to download the certificate and accept the certificate and all of that part of it as well.
Wonderful. Okay. All right. That answers some of my big questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Not to get too technical, but I was going to ask, you said certificate based. Does that mean once people sign into eduroam, that's using like an eTLS type of authentication for their device on the back end?
Josh, are you still on the call? Josh is not on the call. He was on the call, one of our engineers earlier.
Yeah, he got distracted with something else.
Yeah, yep. I probably need to ask one of our engineers that question, and I can and get back to you on that. Do you want to just put your email in the chat and I'll?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. Thanks, Joel. Anybody else with any questions that I hopefully can answer?
You said the best way to do a discovery meeting with you is to just email you rich.t@wiscnet.net.
Yeah, or what I'll do right now is I'm gonna stop my share so I can click on that link for booking a call with me. And now I will drop it in the chat.
Thank you.
There we go. And again, I think one of our goals over these next couple of weeks is, as we're onboarding our next two schools, to create a WiscNet-based document that can walk you through the onboarding process. Even though we will be available and walk through it with you, there's a lot of stuff or some of the stuff is going to be on your side, on your APs, you're going to have to do by yourself. So we're going to have it documented so you can walk through that piece by yourself. We also, this is a great time to mention the WiscNet Secure Platform Slack instance. This is our member-facing Slack instance. And again, our plan here is there's going to be an eduroam channel. So anybody who's participating in eduroam, I would encourage to join the WiscNet Slack member-facing Slack instance. And that will be a great place where you can ask others questions if you're running into any problems. The WiscNet team will be there as well. But again, you may have a specific AP and there may be a specific question that you have about a setting, and guaranteed there'll be somebody else in the WiscNet community who probably has set it up with that same AP or can answer your question. So that has been another model that's been successful within the research and education networks that are pushing eduroam out to their members. Everybody being in a public area where we can all help each other answer questions. And Andy just dropped the Slack link. If you want to join the member-facing Slack, there are plenty of channels in there, not just eduroam. We have all sorts of great Slack channels in there. And I know over these next few months, I think the activity in there is going to start to grow and grow, and it's going to be a very valuable resource to the members. Any other questions? Again, another important piece, even if you're not a K-12 and even if you're not a library system, you can still participate in eduroam by broadcasting as a hotspot, right? I know one of our members who is on this call right now, the Wisconsin Center District, They are going to hopefully be a part of this program, and you may see eduroam being broadcast in one of their buildings during an educational conference. And I think that'll be another part of the key of having this spread throughout the state. And that's another piece that once you become an eduroam member, you can actually help out with. You can recognize, you know your local community better than we do. If there's a space that students gather after school or students go to because the Wi-Fi connection is really good, we want to be talking to them and we want them to be a hotspot member. And that's something that you can help us out with as well.
Rich, if I could just make one quick comment. Sorry, I know I gave that member Slack URL. I did not realize we need a quick code of conduct signature for that. So I'm going to work with Ivor to get that in our email that goes out with the link to the recording too.
Hey, Rich, Tony Kriskovich, Northern Waters Library Service. Can you explain the two options for members? I kind of came in late on that.
Yeah, so the two there, one is called IDP, and that would mean that all of your users can connect to eduroam SSID, and you can go to any other institution that is broadcasting eduroam and connect. The other one would just be a pure hotspot where you're just broadcasting that SSID and just users of eduroam can connect to it. As a library system, you are eligible to be the IDP portion of it, which means that all your library staff can go to other institutions that are broadcasting eduroam and connect using their internal credentials.
Okay, and then the service provider, that would just proxy out the guests out to...
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. That's exactly the way it works. When you go into another building and you try to connect and you're not at your home area, it proxies back to the eduroam radio servers who then find the right institution.
Thank you.
Tim, what's your question regarding? Oh, in Slack.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Sorry, Tim. I might have jumped the gun with sharing that link. I'll work with Ivor and our team to figure out how we get a clear list of instructions on how to get you guys on that Slack, because it really is a great platform. And yeah, there's an eduroam channel that you could ask questions and get it answered really quickly.
Got about 10 minutes left here. Any other questions?
This is Heidi. I can share the link to the sign up for the Slack instance so that folks can get that right now. So I'll post it in 1 second.
All right. Well, thank you, Rich. Thank you, John. Again, I would like to apologize for the confusion with the links for this webinar. Everyone who registered for it will get a recording. It will be closer to the end of next week. Our next Teach and Learn will be on June 17th, and it will be an overview of an expansion of the WiscNet co-managed firewall service. So more information to come. Keep an eye out. Any other questions for Rich, John about eduroam or the rest of WiscNet staff while we are here? And of course, I would like to mention our in-person conference, April 29th and 30th. Hopefully we'll see you there. Reach out if you need help with registering or if you have any questions, membersuccess@WiscNet.net, and would be more than happy to answer all of your questions or help you register for it. All right, hearing no more questions, enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you hopefully in person soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.